What's up, guys? Anthony here with Special Analysis. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Happy Monday. Let's talk about this S&P setup. Guys, the morning was pretty choppy as we got started. It is a bank holiday, for one. For two, listen, we just had Hamas invade Israel. We got a little bit of disturbance in the Middle East. Nobody knows quite what's going to be made of that yet. So the market started off indices gapping down, crude oil gapping up, and it was really just about kind of letting things sort themselves out, if you would, and eventually they did. So when they did, we started trending away from a lot of consolidation. You can see this was super choppy. We pushed up, pulled back. These pushes here on the S&P were into the NASDAQ channel structure. That's why they failed. Ultimately, they closed above, pushed back down, just waited for that reset. What does that reset look like, and what does that reset entail? And that's really what we're going to talk about right now. So the market has an impulse, suffers a correction, and then begins a new impulse. We identify that in this particular scenario with a close above this computer-populated trend line right here marked off by the arrow. This would be your signal here to enter. Now, listen, if you didn't feel comfortable entering here, you wanted to wait for a close above the prior high, then you would have worked off of this candle, depending on really which you prefer. As long as my odds enhancers are all in, order, I'm comfortable entering off of the correction rather than waiting for the prior high. That's just me personally. Now, what do my odds enhancers entail? Favoring the 15-minute time frame, the 21 and 8 EMA on the 15-minute chart. On the current time frame, which is the 3-minute, the 21, 13, and 8 EMA all in sync. Price action above those three fast-moving averages. I want my MACD off my zero line here. I want my signal line leading my histogram, which you can see it's leading the histogram here. I want to look below and see a majority of volume here. That's favoring the move. You can see we had quite a bit of buying volume start to filter in. You had selling here, and then it ultimately filtered out, turned back to buying and neutral volume, but ultimately the volume carried us through. So here's the entry. You buy, you enter into the market here. Again, if you wanted to wait for close above the prior high, you could have used the next candle easily, but that's ultimately personal choice. Again, if those other things all fall into line, which they do in this instance, I'm pretty comfortable just breaking the counter trend line. So here we go. We're in. Market just makes an amazing push higher. Really don't have to be too concerned about anything at this point. The MACD histogram continues to rise. You can see we start to peak out right in this area. Price does continue a little bit higher though. But at this point in time right here, you can see the signal line not only lost its bright color, turned dark. Beyond turning dark, you can see that it's now crossed over. So that to me, this is where we've lost the MACD. We've lost the momentum that we had in this move. And you can see I just drew a line in the sand here, and price action keeps flirting with it, but ultimately pushing through, failing, pushing through, failing. Now, we may get some, more momentum off of this area here later in the session, but for right now, we've lost the MACD. At that point, guys, there's really no reason to have stayed in this any longer. Unless you want to stay in it. This was certainly the ideal area to say, hey, listen, it's time for me to take a significant amount of my trade position off because I've lost my momentum here. Okay, this could have corrected in, and then the histogram could have easily pushed back higher. It didn't. It broke. All right, the signal line crossed over the moving average here. It's just time to exit. We're fighting that 13 EMA. In the next candle, we break it and test the 21, and you can see as the market continues to weaken that we're starting to break through. So again, worst case scenario, this right here, when you lost that MACD, it was time to say, hey, we've lost a significant amount of momentum. It's time to sell the majority of whatever the position I have left on, and then it's time for me to make sure that the balance of my position is well protected at this point. So there's a couple things you could do. At the very least, you should have long had your stop at break even. You could see this went to where the MACD broke from the entry, 3.41 times the risk. So 92 ticks here to the upside with a risk of 27 here to the downside. I calculated off of the trigger candle and the candle prior to. That's normally more than enough in a trending market where all the other odds enhancers have been met. And again, I already went over them. So the market just, again, marched higher until right here where we had that first genuine sign of weakness come in. Guys, that's it. I give you the checklist. I walk you through what it should look like. I answer your questions. If you want to trade live with me, this is the kind of trades that we're looking for. You got to check all the boxes. When they do, I mark a little arrow there. And if there's something here that tells me that we shouldn't take this trade, I'll tell you. Like I said earlier, we had a setup come in, but we were fighting a channel structure on the NASDAQ. That setup ultimately failed, but we identified why it was going to fail before it failed, so we knew to stay out of it. In this instance, the NASDAQ's above that channel line. Both the indices are above their opening ranges, and both of them have massive gaps until they find their next technical target. The next technical target are a daily and weekly pivot overhead. So there was no reason you couldn't have caught the majority of this momentum, even scaling out of your position along the way. So if you want to learn how to do this, if you want to trade live with me, if you want to use the tools that I use, there's links below this video, guys. I strongly encourage you to click them, invest a little time in checking them out. Email me with questions that you have. I'd be more than happy to answer them. If you need a trading consultation, I do schedule those during weekdays, early afternoon. So again, I'm here to answer your questions. I'm here to help you. I'm here to give you my checklist and my trade plans and the things that I use. Ultimately, what you do with them on your side of the computer, I cannot control. But, that reinforcement is here for the taking should you desire to take your trading to the next level. So with that, I wish you a blessed afternoon, and I will talk to you soon.